All right, sweet. So we're work on some lower body stuff, lower back and down. And let me let these people in real quick. All right, sweet. So if you haven't already and you got stuff around you, feel free to grab a blanket, pillow, a towel that you can roll up. Anything works. Grab my pillow actually. So we'll start in the old typical kind of way, lying on our back. So if you have something around, you're welcome to put something underneath your lower back or underneath the sacrum as you lie down with your knees bent. You can also just be flat on the ground here. Sometimes that's enough to alleviate some lower back stuff that's happening. So I'm gonna have this pillow just underneath me. And then you choose with what you're doing with the legs. If you want, you can widen the feet and let the knees fall towards each other just so you don't have to hold the legs up. You're also welcome to do the opposite with feet together and the knees wide. You can have legs long if you want to start just lying down. And just let your hands, arms land wherever's most comfortable to you. I often like to have hands on the belly, or even hand on belly, hand on chest, so I can really physically feel my hands move with my breath. So just take a moment to settle in, decide where you want to be, how you want to lie down, and give yourself some nice deep breaths here. It's just an invitation to show up right in the middle of the day, so give yourself some grace and compassion as all of you arrives. We've been busy. So just notice what it feels like to start to slow down, start to deepen your breath, to feel your belly expand with an inhale and slowly draw back in with a long exhale. And as we slow down, just beginning to notice how we're feeling. Maybe physically, perhaps is most obvious. Feel free to take any little adjustments or wiggles around as you check in. Noticing how you're feeling mentally. Maybe you've been doing a lot of multitasking or just bopping around a lot. So just notice thoughts are going to bounce in and bounce out. We'll just acknowledge them, let them bounce on by. And whenever you catch yourself trying to bounce with it, just notice that. Remind yourself that you can notice the breath instead. And all those important bouncy thoughts can come back later. Maybe even checking in with how you're feeling emotionally, anything you've brought in with you. We don't need to change anything, but just acknowledging it again with a little compassion, with a little gratitude for getting yourself here. Whatever today's practice looks like, just trusting that it's whatever you need it to be. No expectations here. Just starting to breathe a little fuller, a little slower. With that constant invitation for your entire self to show up to this practice. And just give ourselves a few more full, slow breaths here as we settle in. Let's take one last deep breath here, perhaps together. If you want to take a deep breath in, the big sigh out. take your time. Back to bent knees if you changed it up. If you have something underneath you, lift the hips, scooch it on out of the way, come down to the ground. And let's just take a little roly-poly moment here. Maybe you want to hug knees into the chest, roll around, see what you can massage against the ground. Anything goes though, just explore it. Another way to check in with how your body's feeling in this moment. And then eventually, let's get started with a twist. This twist, we'll start off with the hugging in the right knee. You can let your left leg be long, but if that ever feels like too much, you can always bend that knee as well and have the foot on the ground, up to you. But at first, let's just hug that knee straight and take an extra breath there. Maybe pressing that left heel away, lifting those toes. And then when you're ready for the twist, passing that knee to the left hand so you can swoop it over to the left side. You might not need to go far at all. You can always reach that right arm out to the right side. I like to look towards the right as well as the right knee is going towards the left. Let's just have a couple more breaths here for this side. You can always prop pillows up and whatnot if you'd like that knee to have a place to rest. And take your time, let that knee come back to center. And let's switch it up to the other side. So left knee gets to hug in. Choose if that right leg is long or if you want to keep that knee bent. Hugging straight in for a couple of breaths. When you're ready for that twist, pass that knee to the right hand. You can swoop it over as much as feels good to the right side. Maybe left arm's reaching out to the side as you look towards that arm. Find where you want to be and take a couple more breaths there. Alright, slowly back to center. Now we've done a little bit of that lower back. Let's jump down into the hips a bit. All connected. So from bent knees, let's do figure four, right? Ankles to the top of that left thigh, foot is flexed. Maybe this is enough to be right here. Maybe you want to hug the legs in. Head, neck, and shoulders still get to rest. If you need a pillow or something under your head, feel free. We're just focusing on the lower body, taking those deep breaths. We can do a little imagining that your inhale gathers up some of that tightness and tension, and those long exhales help you begin to release it little by little. Let's have 2 more breaths here. Alright, as you're ready, both feet comes down to the ground. Gotta do that psoas stretch, right? We're getting all those things wrapping all around. So from bent knees, right foot is gonna slide underneath the left leg. Maybe reaching the left hand down to grab that foot or just reaching towards it. Right leg gets to be heavy. You can always slide something underneath there for a little extra support. You can pause right here. You can play with slowly seeing how it feels to hug the left knee in towards the chest with your free hand. You can be still, you can wiggle about, you choose. But back to using breath. Gather with the inhale, release with the exhale. You can even use that as a little mantra, especially if your mind is feeling busy. silently saying to yourself, gather as you breathe in, release as you breathe out. Give yourself one more good old breath here. And take a little bit of time to unravel. Might feel nice to reach legs long, reach arms up overhead for that full body stretch out. And we got a level on that left side, so whenever you're ready, back to bent knees, back to figure four. Left ankle to the top of the right thigh. Foot is flexed. Choose where you want to be, here or hugging in. Upper body still resting, including the neck, so you can breathe down into the hips. Nice, one more deep breath here. As you're ready, slowly both feet down to the ground. Back to psoas stretch. So left foot sliding underneath the right leg. You can choose if you want to reach down towards that foot. Left leg gets to be heavy. Option to hug that right knee in. Now I know I say psoas stretch, we're looking for that thing that like wraps around the outside, but oftentimes I or other people do feel it in the front of the thigh, that quad. So one is not right or wrong, right? It's just what we're feeling and where on any given day. Well, let's take one more breath here. And then you can slowly release from there. Back to bent knees, make sure your lower back feels nice and grounded. So we can reach both legs up. Now your knees can be as bent as you'd like them to be here. Or you can play with straightening the legs, sometimes lowering the legs a little bit and straightening them is a little bit easier. But whatever you can do to get to the back of your legs, those hamstrings. Don't need to do much here, we're just kind of warming them up. Warning them that we're going to be doing some deeper stretches in a bit. Any shape with the legs, though, of course. You got ankles, you can circle, toes you can play with. Make it your own. And then if you want to end this with that happy baby, we can bend the knees, let them come wide. You choose where you grab on. Maybe behind the knees, maybe somewhere along the shins, maybe the feet, if that lower back can stay on the ground with that. And just taking a couple extra breaths here. You can rock around or be still. That goes for most things. Alright, we can release the legs down. So we're gonna come up to seated, however you want to get there. Take your time to get there. And we're gonna go right into, you might be sideways on your mat because we're gonna come to wide legs. Now you choose how wide, doesn't need to be anything extravagant here. Right, somewhere, the way I like to gauge it, is finding that edge where we feel the stretch, but we're not in pain. So pressing the heels away and lifting the toes, we do that to kind of activate the back of the legs. So if you do that and you're like, ooh, too much, just bring your legs a little closer together. And at first, this is what we're doing. You might even want to sit back a little bit and have hands back behind you. This might be plenty stretch. Some of you might have space to have hands on the legs or even start to lean forward, but try not to round as much if you come forward. Just keep lifting the heart and just finding a little help to stretch out the back of the legs only if you need it. Oftentimes I do not. Let's just have a couple more breaths right here. All right, we're gonna add a little movement into this. So if you're still comfortable with legs this wide, stay here, or you can always bring them in a little bit more if you want to. We're going to add a little side to side action. So I'm going to slide my right arm down inside of that right leg and reach the left arm up and over. So something I'm doing here that it's hard to see, but I'll explain it, is I'm pressing that arm into the leg so I can add a little bit more, it's not quite a twist, but sending that top shoulder back a little bit more. So we got big old side body stretch. Let's try the other side. Inhale, come up. Same idea, other side. So left arm inside of the right leg. I'm reaching up and over, slightly pressing into that leg, slightly sending that top shoulder back. And I like to look up towards the ceiling, but do whatever is most comfortable to your neck. So let's move side to side using our breath. So an inhale will bring us up. Exhale to the other side. Nice slow breaths so you have time to feel that stretch. And keep going with your pace of breath. Inhale will bring you up. Exhale, just alternate sides. Couple more breaths, so maybe visiting each side one more time. Take your time to finish that up. And then when you're ready, we're going to bend the right knee so that right foot's just coming in towards the body. Or readjust a bit so I can be fully on the mat. So this time we're going to sit up nice and tall. And we are going to create a bit of a twist because we're going to turn so that our chest is facing that extended leg and a little bow forward. You can still press that heel away and lift the toe. And sometimes, so I'm coming towards my left leg, my right arm can reach towards the outside of that leg if it feels good, if you want to keep adding a little side stretch in. But again, we're making it our own because there's a lot of different spots you can stretch out in any one given shape. So let's have one more full slow breath here. You can really take your time to come up. Hands can even walk up that leg. And let's just switch sides. So left knee bends. Right leg is reaching out. Pressing heel, lifting toes. Sit up nice and tall first. And then twist towards that leg. Add a little bow. But again, just find your edge. Feels like a stretch, but you're not struggling. So we can linger here for a couple more breaths. All right, slowly come on back up. And since we're here, let's bend both knees. Soles of the feet together, knees wide. Just like anything else, you can always have something underneath the thighs if you want a little extra support here. The hands can come to the feet, lifting the heart up and over as we round forward. Head can hang heavy if the neck is cool with that. You can play with how far the feet are from your body. It changes things. You can be still, you can sway. Spending a little time here, still breathing. All right, next inhale real slowly. Let's roll up to seated. Take your sweet time. Head is the last thing to lift. And then you can help the knees lift up. And then you can reach the legs long in front of you. But let's come right to bending the knees and folding forward here. So get those hamstrings out of the way. Feel free to have pillows or pets underneath the legs if you want, or you can just hug yourself in. You choose how much the knees are bent. We're looking for a little more stretch out at the lower and mid back, but again, it just depends what's tight and where today. Let's spend about 3 more breaths here. Another slow roll up with your next inhale. No rush. All right, while we're here, let's do that good old twist. So bend the right knee, and then step that right foot over to the outside of the left knee. I like right hand just behind me. It's a little kickstand. And inhale, reaching the left arm up, reminding you to sit tall. Exhale, twist to the right, so that elbow's coming towards the outside of that knee. Doesn't need to be perfectly placed, just the direction it's headed. And we start to look back around behind us. Make sure the neck stays comfortable with where it's at. Lifting the heart, lowering the shoulders here for 1 more breath. And then slowly unraveling. Let's switch sides. So right leg is long, left knee bends. We're stepping it on over. Left hand your kickstand. Inhale, right arm reaches up, sitting tall. Exhale to the left. Heart up, shoulders down. Looking back around behind you. 2 more breaths. Take your time when you're ready to unravel. We're going to make our way in any fashion you want to tabletop or hands and knees. Feel free to add anything under your knees if you want a little extra padding there. We'll be here for a minute, so it might just be a little extra bit of comfort for you. Stacking shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, fingers spread and nice and wide so you can press all the fingers and both palms down to the ground. Let's go right into some cat-cow wiggling. So cat-cow, we have back bend, belly down, heart and gaze shining forward. And the opposite, our cat pressing the ground away, rounding through the spine, chin towards the chest. And the wiggle part is whatever you want to do. You can keep moving through cat-cow. You can pause in one, add a different kind of movement. You got hips you can move all around. Maybe circles, maybe side to side. You can even check in with neck and shoulders while you're here. We're just kind of making stuff up that feels good. And just seeing if we can sync up some breath with some movement. Whatever feels most natural to you there. Maybe about 3 more breaths of whatever's feeling good here. Alright, back to neutral tabletop. Let's do a little bit for the shoulders while we're here. So we'll do thread the needle. So inhale, right arm's reaching up. Exhale, we're going to thread it through, reaching through to the left till the right shoulder can come down, head can rest down. Making sure the neck is comfy with where the head lands. If the hips weighed way to one side, sway them back towards center a bit. See how that feels. And taking a couple more deep breaths here. Alright, when you're ready to come up, press that left hand into the ground. Help you come up. Reach the right arm all the way back up where it started. And back down so we can do the other side. When you're ready, inhale, left arm reaching up. Exhale, thread that baby on through. Left shoulder down, head coming down. Check in with the neck, check in with the hips. Check in with your breath, creating that space between the shoulder blades. When you're ready to come up out of that, right hand's going to press into the ground to help you up. Left arm all the way back up. And back down. Take a little wiggle here. Check yourself out. Check out the shoulders. Alright, let's do one more thing for the shoulders. And then we'll go back to focusing on the lower body. But just for the sake of evening ourselves out, let's come down to lying on the belly. We're going to do that big chest shoulder opener. So I'm going to reach my right arm out to the right side. My palm is on the ground. My right cheek can be on the ground. And then rolling onto the right side, I like to step my left foot back behind me. So I have a hand in front of me, a foot behind me. Complete control about how much I roll towards that hand or how little I roll towards that hand, depending on the day. If your head doesn't make it quite to the ground, maybe make yourself a pillow out of something. And we're going to be on this side for, let's say, 3 more breaths. Just a little counteract to that hunch and crunch. Alright, we're going to switch sides, so real slowly roll back towards the belly until you're ready to reach the left arm out to the left side. Palm is down, left cheek on the ground. When you're ready, rolling onto the left side. Find a place you don't mind lingering, somewhere your head can rest. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And once you're ready, slow roll back to the belly. Bring yourself back to the center of your mat. If you had to shuffle around, hands alongside the chest. Pushing up through tabletop. And let's bring her all the way back to a child's pose. You choose if your knees are together. Might stretch out the lower back a little bit more. Or if you want knees as wide as the mat. Taking a moment. Just getting low to the ground. Noticing what parts of your body meet the ground. If this ever feels like too much for the knees, you can always slide something like a pillow, a rolled up blanket or towel between the calves and the thighs and see how that feels. You can always have something under your head. We're going to take just a few more breaths here. All right, taking it slow, we can come back up through tabletop. We're gonna go through a downward dog so we can make it to a low lunge. So what that looks like, tucking the toes, lifting the hips up and back until you can comfortably step that right foot forward. Bring your back knee down, hands reaching towards the ground. If you have something to put underneath your hand. Oh yeah, I got new blocks. Let me grab those, but you can grab blocks or books. These will be kept up high where the dog cannot eat them. All right, so I like something under the hand so I have something to press my palms into because I can't quite reach the ground. But you choose. What we're going to focus on is the left thigh, the quad, the front of that thigh. So still want to make sure you have a stack or at least you're not stressing out that knee at all. And then hips towards the ground till you feel that stretch out there. Now you can linger there. You can do your little movements around. Some people like to come up and that can help. Feel that stretch in the quad as well. Be where you want to be for a couple more breaths. You don't leave it. You're good. You're safe. All right, we're going to take it back to a half split. Thank you for the demo there, Twig. We're going to bring the hips back and walk the hands back till we have that hip right over the back knee. I'm lifting the right toes and might need it, might not. A little bow forward. So we're looking for the back of the right leg. Keep at least a little bend in the right knee. Sometimes blocks are handy. You can come up a little higher if you're really feeling it today. But let's have 2 more breaths here. Nice chance for those hamstrings to lengthen out. All right, so when you're ready, hands walking back forward, bend in the right knee, back to low lunge. So this piece we'll call optional, or you can just play and see where you're at with it. So while we're here, option to play with lifting that left foot. So we're bending the left knee. Again, it might be nice to have the extra cushion under there. You might be able to lift enough to where you either pretend to reach back towards it. Some of you might be able to grab that foot. Doesn't matter if you can grab the foot or not. We're just looking for a stretch in that left quad. One last moment here. Then when you're ready, just gently lie that foot back down. So I'm going to bring hands to the ground because we're going to step back. Tuck that back toe, lift the knee and the hips so you can comfortably step back. If you'd like a moment in downward dog, check out each side. If you'd like a moment in child's pose, you choose. One's not better or worse, it's just different. See what you're craving. Then eventually we'll meet in a low lunge again. This time we're going to step the left foot forward. Right knee comes down to the ground. Chances are this lower leg's comparable, right? So maybe you got blocks or books or not. Hips coming towards the ground. Again, you can stay low, you can come up, be still, you can move. Make it your own. Keep breathing. Two more breaths. Hanging here. And then eventually, as you're ready, walk the hips and hands back to that half split. Hip over the knee, left toes lifting, a little bend in the left knee or more. Maybe a gentle fold over the leg. Somewhere you can linger for a moment. And once you're ready, let's go back to low lunge. So walk the hands forward, bend in that left knee. Again, optional. You can stay right here, or you can play with lifting that right foot up, bending the right knee. You can play with the hips still going towards the ground as you do that. You can play with reaching back towards that foot. Anywhere you want to be for 2 more breaths. I believe this is something they call mermaid. I don't know if it's accurate, but I would like to be a mermaid, so we're going to go with it. And when you're ready to come out, lower that foot down to the ground. Let your hands come back down to the ground. You're going to step back, but we're going to do something a little different. So tuck that back toe, lift the knee, lift the hips so you can step that foot back, but then walk your hands all the way back to your feet. Keep the knees bent generously. We're coming to a bent knee fold forward. Hands can be on the ground or on blocks for support, or you can grab opposite elbows if you want a little extra weight in the upper body. See if you can allow your head to hang heavy. Maybe even give your head a little nod. A little shake around. Any little movement that feels nice. Just make sure you feel nice and steady. Feet at least hip width distance apart. Toes can even spread wide and root down. And we'll just hang here a little while longer. Heavy head. It's easy to forget. The neck always wants to hold on. 3 more breaths, we'll say. All right, as you're ready, bend the knees quite generously so both hands can come to the ground. So you can walk the hands forward. Both knees eventually gently can come down to the ground. If you'd like to take a moment here in tabletop, wiggle around, see what's happening. But eventually, we're going back to child's pose. Again, knees can be close or wide. Get yourself down low. And then just take a moment, letting go as much effort as possible. Might not be all of it. This is still kind of an active pose. But what can you let go of? Maybe that's just some tension in the jaw. Help yourself wiggle it around if that helps. Same for like shoulders. Just kind of do a little scan of your body. See what can soften. Take a few more deep breaths here. One last breath. All right, and take your time to come up through that tabletop or hands and knees again. So I'm going to explain the next thing we're going to do, which is frog pose, if you're familiar. Things that you might want to consider is coming back to be whatever this is, perpendicular on your mat, it's wide, because we're going to come at it from this tabletop. And if you're on the hard ground with just one mat, feel free to like fold up the sides so that your knees have a little more cushion. So what this looks like, feel free to watch first, and I can show different angles too, because it's a different one, and you want to move slowly into this. So from that tabletop, I'm going to widen my knees just as much as I'm comfortable with. I'm going to point my toes out to the side, which you can kind of see. And I like to come down to forearms. So what you're going to discover is the wider your knees, the bigger stretch. And pushing, well, pushing's too strong a word, leaning the hips back towards the feet also will add a little bit more stretch. So when in doubt, have knees closer together, and then you can always just lean back if you want a little bit more. So take a moment to get into that. I'll show you this other angle, which is a little treacherous on the ground. But it's looking a little like this. Toes out to the side. I'm not even pressing the hips that far back. That's a real subtle kind of thing that's happening. So once you feel like you're in a place you can settle into, let's just have 3 more breaths if it stays comfortable enough to linger in. You can always bring the knees a little closer together, or you can lean the heart forward. 1 more breath. In fact, that's exactly how we're going to get out of it. I like to do a little crawl forward first to relieve some of that, and then start to bring the knees together. Just help yourself back up and over to the mat. And what I think feels good after that is lying on the belly again, so you get to stretch the legs out. Let your chest come down. We'll do just a little baby cobra, so hands alongside the chest. Lift in the heart, little tuck of the chin. Take a breath here. Let yourself come down. Pick a cheek to rest onto the mat. Take a big soft breath there. Muscles get to be ooey and gooey for 1 more breath. One more little back bend. Inhale. Lifting the heart, little tuck of the chin, back the neck has space. Breath in. Exhale, opposite cheek to the mat. Back to that ooey and gooey. Soft muscles, relaxing here. One more breath. And this will lead us into a recess time. So if you want to stay here and do a little bit more different shapes from here, you can. The recess is whatever you want it to be. Maybe that's back up and moving and stretching and doing. Maybe that's coming to your back to roll around a little bit more. Or you can go right to laying down for Shavasana. Twig's been there this whole time. She's just been snoring. But I'll let you know when we're about halfway through, per usual. Anything that's going to help you rest a little more easily and comfortably whenever you are ready for that Shavasana. Just checking in with your body. And we're about halfway through. If there's any last thing you'd like to get into, or any cushy things you'd like to gather for your Shavasana. And of course, no rush to get there, but once you start dreaming up your Shavasana space, how you want to lie down, let that be any way that feels most restful to you. The lower back has been feeling tight, something like pillows underneath the knees might feel nice, or just keep the knees bent all together. Maybe some extra layers. Anything. Just take a moment to create your space, to help yourself to start burrowing in. Maybe even coming back to those full, slower kind of breaths. Maybe breathing in for a slow count of 4. Breathing out for a slow count of 6, if that helps your mind settle along with your body. Take any last little adjustments, little wiggles that help you be even just the tiniest bit more comfortable. Check in with your jaw, see if you can wiggle any tension out of there. Just feel your body heavily pressing into the ground, letting your muscles soften a little more with each exhale. Like you could just melt right into your mat. Your eyes can be open or closed, but they get to rest heavy as well. Just notice how your hands and your feet get to completely let go. How your arms and your legs get to be heavy and soft here. Releasing any effort. Noticing the support underneath the shoulders, shoulder blades, underneath the hips and your lower back. Letting all those big muscles and joints rest and release. And even all of that stuff along the spine. You can bring your awareness to the base of your spine and slowly let your awareness come up through the lower back, through your mid back, space between the shoulder blades, all the way up to the back of your neck. Muscles softening all along the way. Tops of your shoulders releasing. All the muscles of your neck getting to soften along with everything else. Even those muscles wrapping around the back of your head, around your ears, the crown of your head, and the muscles in your face, like the brow and cheeks and jaw again. Everything softening. Your entire body is one whole piece. Just allowing everything to melt. And soft belly moving in gentle waves of effortless breath. And a soft heart as you allow yourself to rest here. Allow this time of healing, of softening, not just physically, but all of you. Just allowing yourself to be open to this present moment. And to practice kindness when your mind drifts off to the past or the future. And just giving yourself a deep breath each time you need to bring yourself back to this moment. Letting any thoughts be like those white puffy clouds that float in and float away through the clear blue sky. You don't need to try to catch a cloud or follow it. Just acknowledge it, see it. Take a breath and let that be the wind that helps it float on by. And just come back to that clear blue sky. Just being especially kind to yourself if it just feels like a day of overcast. Maybe today it's just a gentle reminder that this too shall pass. Reminding yourself that clear blue sky is still out there somewhere. And for now, we just trust that we breathe and that we wait for those clouds to part. And just taking the last few moments of this stillness and this rest, soaking it all in. And gently beginning to deepen your breath. Maybe the first movements, that full expansion of inhale. A gentle release of exhale again and again. As you're ready, beginning to notice fingers and toes. It's time to bring a little life back to them, small little movements. Same for wrists and ankles or any gentle stretch or movement as you slowly reawaken your body. And of course, if you'd like to reach arms up overhead and take one last full body stretch. Maybe eventually hugging knees in towards the chest or rolling to one side. Just bringing some of this peace and stillness with you, even as you start to come up to a comfortable seated position. So we can close our practice out all together. And if you'd like, you can join me in bringing hands to heart center. Really pressing the hands together, sitting up tall like you're lifting the heart up into the hands. Big cleansing breath, fully in. Big sigh out. Little promises to ourselves. Perhaps bringing thumbs to the forehead as we call in awareness of our beliefs, of our thoughts, and of clear creative vision. And thumbs down to our lips as we vow to express our personal truth, love, and boundaries. And back down to our hearts as we continue to find our balance again and again. Continue to love ourselves fully, fearlessly, and to find strength and courage through compassion and vulnerability for ourselves and each other as we connect to all of life. And thank you all for being here, live or later. 'Tis a pleasure.